Welcome to Subramani. I have been asked to write about how to invest in your 20s, 30s, 40s. I have actually done it in the past. So, how to invest in your 20s and 30s and 40s. And I've also done something on late starting. If you're a late starter, how should you invest? So what I would do now is to create some strategies for investing, and then we will see which one is appropriate for which type of personality, because there could be a 22-year-old very conservative investor to a 50-year-old very aggressive investor. So I'm not getting into what age who should be doing right now. I'm just talking about different strategies. So first of all, you have to understand that to be able to invest, you have to save well. I don't know whether enough number of channels and blogs are willing to say that, but if you can't save, you can't invest. And you have to save very aggressively, as whether you're young or old. If you have goals which you are committed to, like if you have a goal of saying I want to retire at 45 or 55 or whatever, then you have to save very aggressively, and only after that you have to start investing. And for starting to invest, you also have to have a mindset which allows you to invest. So first of all, get up in the morning, open the window and ask yourself, how does it feel to lose 30% of your capital or 20% of your capital? Are you willing to do that? Tell yourself, tell your family, sit with your wife, sit with your children, sit with your parents, whoever it is, depending on the appropriateness of age, that you are going to start investing, and in investing you will lose money. Right? See how is your own attitude towards losing money, your own family's attitude towards losing money, and how much you can lose. If you're a person earning 10 lakhs, can you lose 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs, 30 lakhs? Because losing 30 lakhs means losing 3 years' efforts. Losing 50 lakhs means losing 5 years gross efforts. And after that, there is taxation, there is savings, there is taxation, there are home expenses, etc. Suppose your annual savings is only 2 lakhs and you lose 10 lakhs, it means 5 years effort is lost. Do you have the mental, physical, emotional, financial strength to take this kind of a loss? Ask yourself that. That's a very, very important question. Also tell yourself that even when you lose small sums of money, you will feel like a complete loser, idiot, whatever you want to call yourself. You will do all that because you would have done all your research, presumably, on what share to buy, and you would be very hung-ho on it, and you go and buy maybe worth 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, whatever your first round is going to be. And then you realize that you have lost 20% of that or 25% of that. Maybe you got the timing wrong, maybe you got the management wrong, whatever, doesn't matter. You are going to feel miserable and you think you're the smartest guy in the world, and the market does not think so, at least in that trade. So you will feel terrible. Ask yourself how you will feel and how you will react. So be ready for that. Also understand that the market is not unidirectional, right? So remember the very famous words, this too shall pass. So when the market is down, understand that the market will go up, and when the market has gone up 60% in 1 year, to think that you will again get a 60% next year or even 5% next year or 10% next year is completely wrong. The market will revert to the mean, and therefore the market will come down. So be prepared for the market coming down. We are always prepared for the market going up. Being prepared for the market coming down is very important in the investment journey. You will also realize during the journey of investing that you have very many companies which look good but which may be very badly priced. You may have companies which are not very good but very attractively priced. You have to choose because there is no one good or one bad thing, right? There are nothing like I remember mutual fund houses which said, oh, we won't touch PSUs. They've completely missed out the PSU rally. So you cannot afford to have biases. So remove all possible biases. First of all, understand that you have a bias and you are working to a bias. And once you realize that you are working to a bias, decide that I will do my utmost best to remove that bias. And for all this, what you need is you need a good advisor. So if you're 45 years of age, find a 22-year-old advisor who will help you with crypto or F&O or things like that. or a 60-year-old guy who will be able to shape your portfolio for retirement. So choose one or two advisors, somebody with whom you can brainstorm. I have got 40 years experience and I still will not buy a share unless I have spoken to 2-3 people. A couple of people are younger to me. A couple of guys are younger to me by maybe 20 years. I have my broker who is more or less my age, maybe about 5 years older. I got other friends working in banks, analysts, etc. I will bounce my idea before I buy. I still go wrong. I still lose money. I still accept that these mistakes will happen in spite of putting in the best of efforts. You also realize while going on that same path that you have to take some risk to get a reward. But if you take too much risk, then you will not get a reward. You will get punished for taking too much risk. So understand the right balance between risk, reward, punishment, sitting idle. Very many people don't understand the cost of sitting on cash doing nothing. There is a element of cost to it. So you should not sit on too much cash also. Nor should you not have any cash, because suddenly if the market falls, you need to have some dry gunpowder to shoot, right? So understand all this. This is step one in investing. After you do all this, you can come to different strategies. Now look at the very simple strategy. The simplest strategy works for most people in the US, and for many people it will work even in India, and there's a logic to it, and that is indexing, right? Just pick up one index. Now if you need an advisor to pick which index, then it's a problem. So pick the simplest of index, say S&P 500, or pick up the BSE 30 or any BSE 100. Pick up one and pick up an index fund, right? So when you pick up the S&P 500, you are saying, okay, these 500 shares are my area in which I will buy. So I don't need an index fund, I will pick shares. That's also fine. But if you are doing indexing, picking up a big broad index is good, but typically a 500 is good, but 100 or a 200 in India is also good. But if you want to be very concentrated on large cap, then picking up the BSE Sensex 30 is also good, or the Nifty 50 is also good. So there, don't spend too much time on which index, but just start indexing. That's very important. There are people who think that they have to do smart indexing by not buying the index but buying some shares in the index. That is risky, because you don't know how much of portfolio weights to assign to each one, and it is dynamic. So don't do that. So indexing makes sense. So start with an index. Now there will be some people who say smart index should not worry too much about weightage, because they give too much weightage to a sector which is doing well. So either a BFSI or technology, somebody will get to be excessively overweight, and that hurts. Then do something, you have equal weighted index. So every share is the same weight. If there are 30 shares, then each one is about 3 point something, right? So that could be another way of doing it. So indexing is one strategy, smart indexing is one strategy. Then you could have, you could create your own target date fund, saying I will hold this in some combination, so much of debt and so much of equity. I require money after 20 years, 25 years. You could do that. You could of course pick up actively managed funds. There are very good actively managed funds which you could pick up absolutely in Indian conditions. Contrarian, mainstream, mid and large cap, small cap, whatever. Just pick up some actively managed funds. Make sure that there is a lot of large cap, mid cap and small cap. Maybe you pick some contrarian also. That could be your portfolio. You could also go and pick up something esoteric, like there's a world mining fund, world agriculture fund, and services fund, export fund. Have a look at all that, but remember, all that put together should not be more than 20% of your equity portfolio. Not 20% of your portfolio, 20% of your equity portfolio. It should not be more than that, all this put together. But nowadays people are assigning a lot of importance to US funds. Take your pick. It's perfectly all right to have it or not have it, depending on your outlook on life, right? So actively managed fund could be one. You could also have a combination of some actively managed funds and some index fund when you're not very sure about what is going to happen. So some passive fund, some index fund and some actively managed fund could be a great combination. There are of course other alternate strategies to consider, like putting money in a hedge fund. Not too much. Some very rich people invest in a hedge fund. In India, we don't have too much of a choice, but it is not ruled out. You can use your LRS, that is the remittance scheme, and put money in a hedge fund, and that you could put up to $200,000 a year. So some of you who are interested could do that. You could always do your own investing by picking shares, like for example, to do an SIP in Reliance and Bharti. You don't need a mutual fund to do that, right? Or any two companies, maybe State Bank of India, right? You're just going to do an SIP. Maybe you buy 100 shares every month. That's perfectly all right. You pick up 10 such companies or 20 such companies, and you decide that you will put 1,000 rupees in each. So there are 20,000, so 20,000 to be invested. If it is 50,000 to be invested, you increase the amount accordingly, but continue in the same shares. What could be these shares? In such cases, I would prefer that you stick to large and mid cap portfolio. So again, a Reliance and Sun Pharma, Bharti Airtel, TCS, HDFC Limited, HDFC Bank, some of these shares you pick up and do an SIP, and it will work. It will work perhaps better than a large cap fund. So that could be one. Then you could be doing private equity investments. Private equity investments is when some friend or somebody, some classmate or somebody wants to start a business, you go and put money into his company. This is slightly risky, but the returns could be very good, right? You can also do angel investing for others. You could hire a traditional financial advisor who could tell you what to do next, and who could put some money in mutual fund, some money in an index fund, somebody in a passive fund, some in an active fund, and you could be trading regularly. All these combinations are possible. Having spoken so much about equity, it is also necessary. It's also possible that you put some money into real estate, right? Real estate works for some people, does not work for some people. So crypto works for some people, does not work for some people. Is crypto buying an investment? I don't know. I don't consider it as an investment if it is going to be so fluctuating, but there are people who are investing, and there are people who have made money. So you should be asking them whether you should be investing in crypto, and their answer may be very different from mine, right? So what should you be doing? Well, if you're risk loving, up to 30, I think up to 30, 32, you should be risk loving, and you should be willing to invest in friends' businesses, etc., like the strategy which I spoke about. You are like an angel investor, or you could be investing your time, effort, contacts, money, everything into a friend startup as a co-owner, as a joint holder, whatever you want to call yourself. Just protect yourself, saying that how you will get, why you shouldn't get sacked, because a lot of owners feel threatened. So be careful about that. From the age of 35, 36 till the age of your retirement, which could be 50, 55 or could be 65, you have now reasonable capacity to take risk. You are also seeing your portfolio grow. It is in this age group that your investment income, or the appreciation plus investment income, will be greater than your earned income. It does not mean your earned income is less. It just means that the amount that you had invested and saved has grown so much that the income, which could be in terms of dividend or it could be in terms of appreciation, is far greater than your working income. So that's the time when you can moderate the risk, but you can still take some risk because you know there is a monthly cash flow in terms of salary coming. After the age of 60, you have to get more conservative because of two things. One is your body is not capable of earning this so much of money, right? You're 60, 65, whatever. So capital preservation becomes very important. So yes, you should work on capital preservation. You should also understand inflation. So you should also provide for old age. You should start providing for senior citizen care, for geriatric care and all that. That's the time when you have to be a little skeptical, because you are now going to ask somebody else to manage it full time. So these are the various stages at which you can operate. So whatever your age, you should pick up your appropriate strategy. I think I've covered everything. Thank you.